Hello and welcome everyone to Intel on AI. I'm Tony Monkolsmy, and I'm your host today for our Intel on AI podcast. As companies begin to integrate AI into their business workflows, they are being faced with any number of technical challenges. Today, we're joined by Robert Daigle, who is a director and global artificial intelligence business leader at Lenovo. And he's going to help us understand some of the challenges and possible solutions in the enterprise AI space. Welcome to the podcast, Robert.
Thank you so much for having me, Tony. It's really great to be here. I've been working in the AI space for about 10 years now, so a little over a decade, and I'm so excited to see the new innovation that's happening and how, we've partnered with Intel, and I'm really excited to get into that today, how we've partnered with Intel to enable, this AI journey for our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, businesses and enterprise are really starting to get into AI and trying to figure out how to deploy it. Can you talk about the challenges that enterprises are facing today and Lenovo's strategy around AI?
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you look at what we've been doing, we actually just had our recent CIO survey where we go out and, interview like over 300 CIOs and Fortune 1000 companies and get their feedback on, what's their top priority, what's their top business priority as a CIO, and what are some of the top challenges they face. And of course, AI is the number one priority, but there's still a lot of challenges for customers to get started. How do they select the right use cases? How do they provide, governance and, ensure that they're applying AI in an ethical way? So responsible AI challenges, how do they do the data management to be AI ready? So all of these are challenges that organizations face today. And then where do you deploy it? A lot of organizations are looking to, do they run, these AI capabilities on-prem in their own data center for privacy concerns? And that's a new trend we're seeing. It's kind of this move back to more private data centers. So our strategy at Lenovo is really taking a hybrid approach to AI. We want to bring AI to your data. We don't want you to have to move all of your data into one place just to be able to use some of these AI capabilities. And that may be, maybe that's running AI on your local device. Do you want to be able to, you want to have to move all of your pictures or documents on your laptop into the cloud just to be able to leverage a generative AI model to help you create content or provide insights on some of the data that's on your personal device. And that's why we've launched something called the AI PC, where we're doing a lot of artificial intelligence deployment and inferencing right on the PC, where you don't have to call back to a data center or cloud. In other situations, customers want to run large language models in their own data center and deploy them in their own data center because they're using private sensitive data that they don't want exposed to a public cloud platform. And we have solutions built around that. And then some use cases make sense for, cloud-centric deployments where there's less sensitive data involved and where you need the accessibility that cloud provides. So our strategy is directly aligned with what Intel's trying to do to enable AI everywhere. So it's really exciting to see this partnership come together.
So AI everywhere obviously is a really important thing. And in this case, you're not just talking probably about like the ability to run AI software and hardware everywhere. You're talking about the ability to kind of migrate workloads between different parts of compute, whether it's in the cloud or the data center, or even potentially on an AI PC. Is that right? This is where you expect enterprise to go?
Absolutely. This is our vision of the future of, some AI capabilities, some models are going to run locally on the PC, some are going to run in the cloud. That's one of the things that enterprises are going to want to do is be able to manage those models wherever they exist and do the governance around not just the models, but the data going into it, whether that's running on your PC or whether that's running in the cloud or even on an edge device in your network.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so are there specific key vertical use cases where you think the combination of Lenovo and Intel can make an impact to what your enterprise customers are looking to do? Are there specific pain points that you feel like your services and our technology can address?
So we have been collaborating across, with solutions across a number of different verticals, from retail to manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, even smart cities. So there's a number of different use cases across these verticals. I really look at it in kind of two ways. You've got vertical specific outcomes, and this is mostly focused on an enterprise AI statement. Enterprises are going to be looking at things that are either vertical specific outcomes. If you're a retailer, you want to improve your supply chain resiliency, customer service, customer engagement, or things that happen in the store. Loss and shrink. From theft in the store, for brick and mortar. Also in-store analytics to understand customer behavior the same way that we have analytics on an e-commerce platform. Retailers want to have that type of analytics in the physical store. Those are a few examples in retail. Smart cities, of course, similar ways that we're using computer vision, but also using large language models for customer service, financial services, algorithmic trading, of course, has been around for some time. And then, of course, some of these are domain specific, not just, vertical specific, but we see customers that are leveraging things like large language models to help with their DevOps teams, to provide them assistance in code development and writing computer programming code to speed up that effort and also reduce their quality assurance issues. That applies to any type of vertical or any type of enterprise organization that's doing code development or has a DevOps team. Similarly, like call center support, this is another place that we're seeing a lot of use of large language model or generative AI based solutions to provide assistance, improve the quality of tier one support agents. And for that, it's doesn't matter which industry you're in. If you're a manufacturing organization or retailer, it really doesn't matter. So there's domain specific use cases that we're seeing a lot of investment into, and then some that are vertical specific that we've collaborated on to get together with Intel and Lenovo. And just to call out a few of these, we actually just rolled out a new case study that was a project we collaborated on for a NASCAR team. And what they were looking to do is to improve the amount of time that they spent in pit stops. And we use a combination of computer vision and other AI techniques to be able to help improve and optimize their fueling and their pit stop times, provide them real-time feedback so they can every second they shave off of their pit stops allows them to, have a better chance of winning a race. We have a similar project that we did for Circuit of the Americas last year in partnership with Intel. And that was looking at, fan engagement and supporting fans and their experience at the race and at the event. And that one's really cool because we're doing, crowd analytics is, to be able to, redirect staff to certain areas of the facility to better support customers as we see crowd queuing in certain parts of the facility. We're using that similar technology, that the spatial analytics technology, and we're applying it to other places. For example, we just rolled this out for a government agency to improve support for patrons that are coming into one of their kind of, retail type site where they're trying to improve customer experience and queue times using AI and analytics to do so. So a lot of great ways that you can start seeing that, we're working together to supply not just the infrastructure that we talked about, not just the hardware pieces and parts, but really full stack solutions. And we do a lot of this through our collaboration with software partners. At Lenovo, we call it our AI Innovators program, but that's in direct collaboration with the software partners that Intel's working with that we've qualified on our joint solution stack. We've got over 60 companies that we've enrolled in that program today. So a lot of great ways that we're enabling enterprise AI with our unique approach. And just, Tony, to go back to your last question about the right mix of AI, for enterprise organizations, you've got to right size the solution, not just the software, not just those components of it and the services, but even the infrastructure. If you're kind of over specking the infrastructure, it could break the business case. And so, Intel's approach with one API of program once and then deploy. If it's, inferencing, it's a small language model inferencing or a small computer vision model, you can run that today on Xeon, get great performance. If you need acceleration, you've got Flex series that you can deploy that to for inferencing, or if you want to do training, you can go into something like the Gaudi product line. So really being able to right size the infrastructure to customize these solutions, because they're not one size fits all, is the reality of it.
Yeah, and interestingly, just thinking of the use cases to go back as you were talking about the various use cases, I wanted to call out, like you talked about, for instance, optimizing your pit stops, which I'm assuming is done offline. That's not something you're doing on the fly. And that's something that you could use like Intel's Getty platform as part of that workflow. I think that's somewhere where we partnered with you guys. But then also you mentioned crowd control and being able to direct traffic, which is a real-time use case of AI. So it's not just not a one-size-fits-all where you guys are saying, hey, I can use AI to do this offline analysis and come up with a solution. But you're actually saying you've been able to deploy a real-time AI solution in practice using kind of your Lenovo software services in combination with our Intel software and hardware, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You're exactly right. We did use Getty to enable that solution to do things both offline and in real time too. That's one of the things that actually customers are seeing a lot of value from leveraging artificial intelligence. It's great to be able to go back and analyze historic data and drive insights from it. But this idea of using real-time analytics to enable your staff in the moment to course correct or change behavior on the fly is super, super powerful. Going back to the example at Circuit of the Americas that we did, project we did together last year, for that we could actually, they have something like 7,000 contingent workers that come on site a week before the event. And as you can imagine, orchestrating that is quite challenging. So not only can they use the real-time analytics data to see, how the crowd behavior is changing and be able to redirect staff to support, as people leave the stands and go into the concession areas to be able to rebalance that. But they also can provide things like assistance to that staff through large language models, which is another project we did with them. So, contingent staff that may not have all the answers to customers' questions can provide better support to patrons that are visiting. And that's also something that, is kind of a mix of both real-time feedback, but stuff that's like, based off of insights from a historical knowledge base that we were able to plug into. There's a lot of great examples of how we are leveraging artificial intelligence together to support customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then can you talk a little bit about how you're able to take all of these learnings for these deployments that you kind of just talked about and apply that to new customers that you have, new businesses that you're working with? So if I'm a business and I come into Lenovo and I say, hey, I want some help on an AI project, can you talk a little bit about how Lenovo and Intel are able to accelerate that business's time to an MVP or to get business value out of what they want from AI?
Yeah, one of the things that we saw in the recent CIO survey is there's this challenge that CIOs are being faced with, in that they have a directive from their board, from their CEO, that we have to go do AI. We have to go buy some AI, and it's not quite that simple, right? In that you want to, you could go buy some AI compute, you could go buy the infrastructure, but you've got to attach that to some business outcome. At the end of the day, if you're going to see longevity in this and actually see real value, your CFO wants to see how you're getting a return on investment. And part of that is helping customers early on this journey through doing things like discover workshops. So we can actually sit down with a customer for a day and help them kind of work through, what are some of the low-hanging fruit in their organizations to get started, because you have to balance out the return that you're getting and also, what's the risk and cost of getting started. We do longer engagements through advisory services. So you get in, to one of these workshops, and maybe sometimes you realize that, your challenges are not necessarily AI challenges, that you got to go fix your data management strategy, or you got to go do some pre-work before you're AI ready. And that's really what we're doing through advisory services. that we've recently launched. And then also we have this program called Fast Start. And so taking all of those solutions that we have kind of pre-packaged up that I talked about earlier that Intel and Lenovo have been working together on, in addition to our software partnerships, packaging those up into, quick start POCs. That's really the point of this, and really, providing a really quick time to value. So people can start leveraging a POC to prove out the value, and understand how AI can be applied to their data, their business use cases, and do that in a very kind of de-risk method. And from there, that's the catalyst for getting into that launching that first AI project. And then, of course, we're helping customers deploy and scale their projects, going from how they have built a strategy out from getting started on one project and then scale into the second and third and fourth initiative, and ensuring that they have a prioritization and strategy across that, and being able to provide managed services around this whole solution stack, and being able to manage the full life cycle of it. So a lot of this, for the enterprise customers that we're working with, there is a strong services component. It's not just about the hardware. There's a lot of other pieces and parts that we're pulling together to enable enterprise customers on this journey.
Yeah, and one of the places where we find that companies trying to get into the use of AI get stuck is around, how do I apply it to my business? What are the legal requirements? How does this apply in this part of the world versus another part of the world? What's Lenovo's take on that? How are you guys trying to handle kind of the complexity of this kind of nascent legal, cultural structure around AI that we're not quite sure about yet?
It is an interesting thing where you have a lot of localization that's happening within the AI space. There's, at a nation level, nation sovereignty of how organizations and governments are, investing in artificial intelligence, but also on the business side for enterprise organizations, there's a affinity towards, companies that are more local to them. So we've seen this trend, and kind of how we responded to it is we actually set up center of excellence in different parts of the world that are regionally focused. So we have a North America center of excellence that supports customers in North America and Latin America. We have a site in ULO, which is and these are center of excellence labs that have infrastructure, but also we have data scientists and architects and other expertise that help support customers with this whole process, from the discovery workshops to the fast start POCs to deployment and scale through this whole journey. And there's a regionalization, and we're partnering with more regional ISVs too, these independent software vendors that we're validating on our stack. There's a regionalization effort around that as well. So we can serve customers that want to work with local partners. And we at Lenovo, we call this global local. We have this global reach. We can go deliver these solutions in 182 countries or markets, and Intel has a similar reach too. But we also can use our teams, in specific regions and countries to be able to help customers, have a local flavor of this solution, and kind of be able to bring it into their region or their specific country. Tony, one other thing too that I'd add is, you mentioned, I just want to touch on this one thing. You mentioned, things like regulatory and policy. One of the things that we did, in Lenovo is stand up a responsible AI committee. So all of the partner solutions that we bring to our customers are, things that we do internally at Lenovo. Using AI in our own supply chain. We take all of that through a responsible AI review. We have a policy set up in place that kind of balances. We want to drive innovation. We want to enable innovation, and we want to enable our different teams to use artificial intelligence throughout to improve customer experience and customer satisfaction and increase efficiencies. But we also have to balance that with what's the responsible and ethical way to do that, and make sure that we're being respectful of people's privacy, people's data. So that's why we stood up a responsible AI practice within Lenovo. And we actually help customers. We get questions from customers that ask us for guidance on, and so we provide, kind of our blueprint of what we did internally. We expose that to customers so they can leverage that as well and stand up their own kind of responsible AI policy structure to help guide how they're using AI internally.
Yeah, that's great. That's also one of the things that Intel has. We also have a group that does responsible and ethical AI and try to make sure that our uses of AI internally also follow those policies. So it's great to be able to take those learnings that we have and share them with our customers as well, because it is one of the biggest challenges aside from the policy and the legal stuff. It's really, am I using this in the right way? So it's great to know that we're aligned there as well as we kind of deploy our solutions. So we're getting close to where we're going to be out of time with you, unfortunately. But this is a really good discussion around the benefits that you can get taking advantage of our experience in AI and how we're trying to deploy these solutions. What are the key takeaways that you would want people listening to this podcast to understand about the solutions that Lenovo is providing?
Yeah, so I would say first off, going back to our recent CIO survey, one of the things that was very, very clear is AI is no longer an option. It's a directive in just about every organization. And it's not just for kind of the leaders in the market that, hey, they're going to go figure it out and the rest of us will follow. But really organizations of all sizes, we're seeing small businesses even look at ways that they can leverage AI capabilities to make them more efficient and kind of use it as their secret weapon to be successful. So it's organizations of all sizes are embracing this, and it's the number one priority. So really it's a few years ago, I mentioned I've been working in this space for about a decade. A few years ago, I had to really convince people that they could, drive business value with artificial intelligence, and you had to sell them on AI. Now you don't have to do that anymore. I think it's pretty apparent that it's going to have tremendous value. And so now it's about helping customers, make smart decisions around how they get started, how they can stay out of science project land and actually drive real value from it. It's the number one priority. As part of that, doing it in an ethical and responsible way. Right sizing the solutions so they're appropriate for the use case. These are all parts of how we help customers on this journey. I say the second takeaway is you can start and scale your AI projects today in a very kind of de-risk manner. So we work with customers every day that are early on this journey and they're trying to put some ideas together around what's the top use case that they want to go after. If you're early on your journey, we have capabilities to help you out through our Discover workshops and then help you through that POC and then into production. So you can get started today. You don't have to wait. You don't have to do a big kind of initiative and go through a whole kind of multi-year consulting engagement to get started. There's some really practical ways to get started today in whatever domain or industry you're in. And third, I would just reiterate that the partnership between Lenovo and Intel is really, really important in providing these more turnkey solutions to enable you to get started quickly and see really quick value out of these investments. We want you to be successful because at the end of the day, if you're not successful with your first AI project that you're launching, you're not going to go back and do a second or third. So we have a vested interest in helping you see success out of the gate. So that's really what I would wrap up with as the key takeaways, Tony.
All right. That sounds like a really good set of key takeaways for your customers. If people want to learn a little bit more, what's the best way to reach out to you, Robert, or to Lenovo and Intel?
If you want to learn more about all the great things we're doing together on artificial intelligence, you can reach out to your Intel or Lenovo representative. You can contact me directly on LinkedIn if you want to, or you can visit lenovo.com/AI.
All right. So that gives people something to follow up on. If you guys found anything that we talked about interesting today, you can reach out to Robert or reach out to Lenovo and Intel. And with that, thank you for joining us on Intel on AI.
Thanks so much, Tony.